Hi mathematicians, this is Mr. Almeida. I hope you're doing well today. In this video, we are going to talk about how to solve unit rate problems. When you think about rates, you want to think about how they are closely related to another math concept called ratio. A ratio is simply a complex fraction, which is the fraction that we get by dividing two fractions. So really, all rates are divisions. All ratios are divisions. And division, you cannot change the order of the numbers that you're dividing. So therefore, the order of the numbers has to be the order in which you divide. Okay? The order of the language is how you divide. So if you're being asked to divide hours by miles, then you're going to divide the number of hours by the number of miles. If you are asked to find miles per hour, then you're going to take the number of miles and divide them by the number of hours. Let's take a look at how this applies to a word problem in a particular context. Avion took 6 hours to run 3 miles. At that rate is telling us that we're going to be doing some sort of division. How many hours would it take her to run 21 miles? When dealing with these problems, you want to do two things. You want to read the information carefully and write the important information on your paper. So after reading this, I see that it takes 6 hours to run 3 miles. So I have 6 hours for 3 miles. My question is asking me to find how many hours, so I don't know the number of hours, but I'm going to put a question mark for that. So I don't know how many hours would it take her to run 21 miles. So I'm trying to find the number of hours for 21 miles. Okay, let's just use some common sense here. Number sense, to be exact. If I'm trying to find the number of hours for 21 minutes, I notice that 21 minutes is more than, miles. I know that 21 miles is more than 3 miles. Therefore, my answer for 21 miles has to be more than 6 hours. If I don't get an answer that's more than 6 hours, I know that my answer does not make sense. Okay? So if the number of miles is greater, then the number of hours must be greater if we're dealing with a rate. Okay? Remember that a rate is a division. So here's how we can think about it. We can think about it simply as we're trying to find the number of hours. So that's going to be the order of our division. The unit we're trying to find is going to be the first number or the first quantity that is used. A quantity is a number and a unit. So we're going to divide the number of hours by the number of miles. If the question mark were miles, then I would divide the number of miles by the number of hours. But the question mark is asking us to find the number of hours, so we're going to divide hours by the number of miles. So I write that right down here. Hours divided by miles. Okay? Equals, now I'm going to use the rate that I was given. Use the division that I was given. My number of hours for the one that I was given is 6. I'm going to divide that by the number of miles that I was given, which is 3. 6 divided by 3 is equal to 2. That is what I call my unit rate, okay? That is how many hours there are every single mile. Then I have to put my unit that goes with it. Well, if I did 6 divided by 3 to get 2, I also have to divide hours by miles, which gives me a unit of hours per mile. Basically, you write the order of the unit's division as the rate unit, okay? So it's 2, 6 divided by 3 is 2, and hours divided by miles is hours divided by miles, or hours per mile. That means that there are 2 hours for every 1 mile that is run. But how many miles am I going to go for? I'm going to go for 21 miles. So if I know 1 mile is 2 hours, I'm going to multiply the number of hours per mile by 21, okay? So I have the unit rate, which is 2, times 21, which is 42. And that is my answer, 42 hours. So when you're dealing with rate problems, all you have to do is find the unit rate first by performing a division, and then do a multiplication. So in this case, I'm trying to find the number of hours. Therefore, my division is going to be hours divided by miles. So I do that, hours divided by miles, and I get 6 divided by 3, which is 2 hours per mile. Then I don't have just 1 mile, I have 21 copies of that, so I'm going to multiply 2 by 21, and that gives me 42 hours. Okay, so that's the straightforward approach. If those of you like to see what's going on, I'm now going to use a number line to help you. When you use a number line, it's a visual way for you to see what's going on in the problem. So when we're dealing with rates, we want to use the multiplication or division number line because this is a rate problem. The multiplication division number line deals with equal sized parts. This doesn't necessarily mean that I've broken it up in 21 equal parts, because that would take a long time. All I'm doing is showing you that these are equal parts, these are equal parts. There's some sort of copies of these pieces in between here, and then these are equal parts again, okay? So I don't want to have to draw all of them, because then that would take a long time to write. So I'm just going to show that these are equal sized parts by drawing just a few of them, okay? Then the question, so just to give you the idea of the multiplication division number line, there's going to be, you're going to find the size of each of these equal parts. That is going to be found, and that's called the unit rate. To find this, we are going to take this number right here, the entire number that's listed here, and divide it by this number that's right here, okay? So I'm going to divide it by the number of, so I'm going to take the number of hours and divide it by the number of miles. So the number of hours and divide it by the number of miles. I'm going to go to my rate that I was given. I'm going to take the number of hours, which is 6, and divide it by the number of miles, which is 3. 6 divided by 3 is 2. 2 what? Hours per mile. That is what is known as my unit rate. That means for every mile that I travel, it's going to take 2 hours. Or it takes me 2 hours to travel 1 mile. Okay? So that's my unit rate. Then I am going to multiply that by a certain number of miles. Well, how many miles am I going for? 21 miles. So I'm going to multiply the 2 by 21 miles to get 42. 42 what? 42 hours. Okay? And that is how you use the multiplication division number line to solve a unit rate problem. You first find out what the unit rate is by performing a division. Then you find out what this number C is by performing a multiplication, taking these two numbers and multiplying them to find that. So, in short, to solve a unit rate problem, all you have to do is find the unit rate by performing a division in the order that the question is asking you to perform that division, and then multiply by whatever the other number's unit is to find out the missing quantity. I hope you enjoyed this video and now know how to solve unit rate problems very well. Take care, mathematicians.